Hey there, and welcome to the Think Fitness Life podcast. We're fueled by the incredible clients who inspire us every day, allowing us to elevate their health and fitness journeys. On this show, you'll gain valuable insights from top professionals, hear inspiring transformation stories, and discover the knowledge and motivation to create your own best life. Let's dive in. As someone who has continuously used therapy as a way to heal and elevate my personal performance, I know wholeheartedly that you cannot always read the label when you're in the jar. And that's why it's so helpful to have a professional in your corner to talk to. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp to provide our listeners with the opportunity to work with a licensed therapist from the comfort of your own home. Receive 10% off your first month when you sign up by going to betterhelp.com/TFL. That's betterhelp.com/T as in think, F as in fitness, L as in life. And remember, you're not alone. There are people out there who can help.
All right. Welcome back to the Think Fitness Life podcast. My friend and I were standing over the York barbells, loaded up in the Iron History Museum, when we hear a voice from behind say, "You should go lift it." And saying it like a creed to live by, a creed that has built a legacy in the strength world, we turn around and there's Pops standing right there. And he thanks us for being there. And he asked us if we're ready to lift some weights because it's day 2, Summer Strong. It's about to go down. Honored to have such a legend shake my hand and have a genuine conversation with someone who we've all looked up to and has instilled ethics of what it takes to be great, all embodied in one man. And that resonates with so many people, and it's touched so many people's lives. Those creeds we live by of the physically cultured and be legendary. Sorinex sets that standards for culture, and I'm honored to have on the show Bert Sorin, who today carries those beliefs each and every day, spreads that to so many. And I wanted to start off the show with that story because I know I wrote it in an email to you guys, but I want to make sure that you heard that story. And it was one of the most memorable things that's ever been said to me. And I have it on my whiteboard in my gym. Whenever you get down or whatever, you don't feel like you want to lift, you look over and there's that quote with the Sorinex sticker right underneath it. I wanted to share that story with you because it embodies everything that what we stand for.
Thank you. Gosh, that's an awesome story. It's very appropriate and I hate to say a little bit typical with Pops. He always just loves seeing people work hard and try get their at bat, like get up there, like lift it, put your hands around it and tug on it and see how it goes. And you could program all you want and you could talk about stuff. You could hypothesize of what works better or what you could do. If sometimes you just need to walk over there and lift it. And I appreciate you sharing that story. That's cool. Appreciate that.
And it's one of those things where you hear it and you're just like, okay, I'm ready. Like it's just, it's a go thing. Man. It's just saying, it doesn't matter what it is, what we're going to do. If you're might be not enough sleep, whatever, it's that standard. And one of the big things I want to start with today is that origin of physically cultured, because people see it. You and I, it resonates big with, but I don't think people really understand what that means to us in the next family, and people who come to Summer Strong know this is what we live by every single day. What are the origins of that? And I'm sure it starts with Pops.
In a way, I mean, the term physically cultured, I think we somewhat coined that. I could be wrong. I don't want to speak out of turn, but the term physical culture as a movement, I mean, that was something from the turn of the century when really gymnasiums and lifting weights for, I hate to say for sport, but for, it was a continuation out of the Roman times of Socrates talked about developing the body. And this has been a long standing flow throughout humanity. But there was a big movement, I believe they called the Turnvine movement, which people started realizing being strong isn't a big brutish thing, that this could be a cultured thing. And you're not just lifting to be big or strong. There is some art in it. There's some reverence in it. There's a development mentally, spiritually, emotionally. and being a steward of the body and its abilities versus just I'm mad and I lift weights. Okay, great. I mean, there is some value in that from an emotional release standpoint, but physically cultured means taking care of the body, understanding what its capabilities are, pushing its capabilities, reaching your potential, living that strenuous lifestyle that Theodore Roosevelt was famous of coining that term, the strenuous life, the strenuous lifestyle. And that all goes through that vein, if you will. And that's what Pops grew up being heavily influenced by the old York gang, the lifters in the 50s and 60s, the Bob Hoffman, the Tommy Konos, the Bob Bednarski, Norm Szymanski, John Grimmix, people like that, Steve Reeves. And that became a mentorship from afar and from close at times. As Oban was his strength coach, his training partner was Anthony DiTillo. And that turned into a lifestyle versus just something you do every once in a while. And some people say, oh, I go to the gym. Okay, that's something that you enjoy doing at times. And that's certainly okay. But if you remember, I think it was from the beginning of Rocky 3, and Apollo and Rocky are talking, and he makes the joke. Rocky says, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter. And I always thought that was an interesting way of putting it. There's people who lift weights, and then there's weightlifters. There's people that's what the physical culture is ingrained in everything they do. Those are the people who take the stairs when given the opportunity. Those are the people that eat more protein and eat cleaner when given the opportunity. Those are the people that will go do something just to challenge themselves for the sake of doing it versus trying to take the easiest way every chance possible for creating calorie surpluses. It's the exact opposite of the easy lifestyle. And Pops didn't come up with that. He's been a perpetuator of it and a spokesperson of it through his entire life. I mean, back when he was in high school, he was creating lifting clubs and with his friends, and there was basically the Sandlot of weightlifting, their little Cedar Street club gym. And then as he went to college, he started the first weight room at the University of South Carolina as an athlete there, was a proponent for lifting weights when people said in 1968, oh, you'll get muscle bound, you'll get slow. And he's like, no, you won't. And so it was, we need to clean and jerk, we need to front squat, we need to do all these things, and which was somewhat foreign at that time. But he was always been a proponent and advocate for that, which it makes sense that would eventually turn into a business potentially. But yes, we use the term physically cultured more as a descriptor, but I'm glad to see that mindset is still running strong through our community.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that even people not in the community can take from is that what you just said, that it's a lifestyle. We view it as this lifestyle that you're going to do challenging things every day. And it's what you live by, and you that because you're part of something. Also, you're part of something greater.
Right. It's the difference between spending money all of the time and making money and saving it and putting it in interest. The physical cultured lifestyle is always deposit based. It's deposit and interest, knowing that there is a delayed gratification of one day, much like we work really hard and you make good investments, you're one day saying, I'm going to be financially successful or financially sovereign, and I'll be able to do what I want to do in life. That's the same way with physical lifestyle. I'm going to do the work, go without, do the work. And one day I will be walking in a meat suit that is better than the one that I had before. And then that will open opportunities to me to do all of these other things that normal people don't get to do, because you have capacity to do that. I always see it as a very delayed gratification, deposit, investment-based ideal versus a spending consumer ideal, which is I'm going to lay by the pool, I'm going to smash 12 drinks, I'm going to eat donuts, all the feels good. That's all consumption. And you always hear hard times make hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. It's just this big cycle. And you can look at the micro cycle within your own life. When you do a lot of easy things, you have to make harder decisions later, which might mean to go get a heavy surgery because you've let certain things go in your body, or you chemotherapy or whatever. A lot of those things you could get upstream from, but unfortunately it means making hard decisions. And even at the micro level, it's just a mindset. I usually find people that they look longer term in life for the delayed gratification, usually being the more fit people. It's more of, in my opinion, it's more of a mature mindset. And there's a very close correlation to those who are relatively successful, even financially successful, and those who are fit, because it's the same operating system. Anyway, that's just my
no,
thought.
yeah, because nowadays, with social media and all this stuff, everything's instant gratification. We're like driven. Obviously, the human brain is always looking for that dopamine kick, but when you push that off and push it off, you get greater rewards at the end. But it's all the mindset. That's what it is. It's people when they see that on a shirt or on your equipment, it's really that mindset of, hey, we're doing bigger things than just a workout.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I joke. I said, we're really good at making steel rectangles. If you really boil it down to what Sorinex does, we make really good racks. We've integrated the rack world, all the stuff associated with that, and other various things that you push or pull against. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I try to paint it with a pretty broad stroke, and partially to not let myself and my team get a big head about some of the things we're doing. Yes, we're making some moves and things like that through the industry, but at the bottom line, we're pushing and pulling on things and making things harder than they need to be. We attempt to help a streamlined hardship. Most people's life is relatively easy. Weightlifting or training is really a streamlined hardship. You've chosen a way to get to a high level of stress rather quickly. Our goal is to help you do it safely and to do it with high accountability and management. So what you're going to do with an intended outcome that you could safely do about a streamlined hardship to make your overall life and future better. That's really what weightlifting or strength training or investment in general is about. That's what we try to wrap our mind around and try to be a steward of that and valuable to the industry.
And that's where for especially for me, that's what's really always drawn me to your equipment, your company as a more investor, right? To be able to buy your products and say, hey, I am supporting what you just said, that culture of, hey, this is what embodies, where there's other companies that I'm sure are great companies, but they might just have a little bit different insight of what they want to do and they want to make money. That's fine. But I do like
sure. That's the neat part about the world. Everyone could choose their path. And there's some other great companies out there. Some of them are friends with us and everything. That's the neat part. We could all make our own music.
And that's, for me, that's one thing that sets you guys apart, is that camaraderie, that culture you set, that standard you set within the strength world industry. It's just bigger and bigger than some of the others, even though some people never heard of your company. But
yeah, it's I appreciate that. It's interesting because at times we get in our own bubble and working with the industry or working closely with our clients, and you could very easily feel, wow, we're known or we're doing whatever. And then you meet someone on the street you obviously could tell lifts weights, and you talk, they're, oh, what do you do? I was like, okay, I work in the equipment world. And they're like, oh, cool. What do you do? I said, well, I own a company. What's that? And I said, oh yeah, never heard of it. And it's good because it's a good reminder to, okay, we might be very embedded and deep in this portion of the community, but there's still a lot of people, thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions who lift weights that don't know who we are. And that's okay. That's totally fine. Would I want them to know who we are? Sure. If we can be helpful for them, great. But the reality of it is it's a big world. It's a big world, and everyone has different goals and why they do certain things. And there's certain companies that their ethos is different than ours, and that's totally fine. That's the cool part about the world. Everyone could choose their flavor.
Do you find it, when running your ethos, do you find it challenging, kind of that back and forth? Oh, I want to make more and do this, but got to still keep that ethos.
Challenging isn't necessarily the word I would choose. It's ingrained. I mean, it's ingrained in me. It's ingrained with my top guys and gals. And the most of everyone, they said everyone knows the drill. Everyone knows the assignment, right? We all think of it in certain terms. There might be something that comes across where, hey, another company wants to partner. Hey, you guys could partner with us. It's going to potentially increase sales X or increase margin Y. And then we are in a business. My goal is to remain profitable and sustainable as long as possible, which means we have to be profitable enough to be sustainable that we get to keep doing this. I enjoy the doing it. My staff loves the doing it. And that all being said, you have to make the numbers work, or then you have to go do something else. And that's not what I'm looking forward to doing. Yes, you try to make good business decisions in that way, but it always gets put through the filter of, is this the brand ethos? Is this what we're about? Is this what I would want to look myself in the mirror or talk to my client and say, yes, this is the decision we've made. And how do we want to be known within the industry? We're always filtering that. And there's a lot of opportunities and strategies that we could have used that we intentionally did not, that just didn't feel right. They didn't feel not effective. I know they would have been effective, but in the end of the day, looking at my kids and hopefully they would look at me as a role model, or even folks within the industry that may term me a leader in some regards. I feel I would be making a bad move for their good. And that's, to me, means more than some money here and there. Not to say we haven't made mistakes. I mean, hey, we've been around 46 years. You make mistakes, or 45. You make mistakes, you do things, you don't think things all the way through, or you go off information that's either inaccurate or you just viewed it wrong. I mean, everybody does that.
All learning lessons, but then it comes down to, at the end of the day, just like you were talking, that delayed gratification. What are you going to leave behind, and what does that kind of look from how we're going to feel? Did I do the right thing?
Right, because at the bottom, the end of the day, that's what I really care about. When I come home, do my kids still hold me in high regard as a leader and as their dad? Am I someone they would maybe want to be one day? Does my wife light up when I walk through the door? When I engage with my employees, do they see it as a positive and helpful experience, or is it a drag? Those are metrics I actually care about. I mean, there's certainly other metrics that I care about. Again, we have to be profitable, but maybe to the detriment, excuse me, to the detriment of profit at times. We've been concerned with those other pieces of the puzzle, but I haven't missed a meal in a while.
I tell my interns too, a lot of this world it's built off of social interaction, social being. Yeah. That one thing comes important is people and building word of mouth recognition. If you miss a business deal, not the end of the world, but if someone can speak highly of you, it's a lot worth more, at least for me.
Oh, it is because that stuff sticks around. Yeah. The main part of the world doesn't know what your profit and loss is, or your all the business metrics. It's a little bit of a social stock market. Hey, are you a member in high standing? My friend of mine, Tate Fletcher, said that at Summer Strong a few years ago. After all the stuff, he was all over movies and this and that, and been through a lot of things in life. And I just love how he put it. He goes, what's next for you? What's the goal? And he's like, my goal is to be a member of this human race held in high standing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? That's a really good way to put it. It's semi non-descriptive, but what you mean, right? You walk into the goal is, if you walk into a room, proverbial or literal, that people are at least positively moved that you're there, in my opinion. Yeah. And maybe even if you go one step further, when you leave, they noticed you left, and maybe it's a little bit of a bummer that you left. Mm-hmm. You never want to be the guy that walks in the room and they go, oh, okay. No. And then when you leave, they're like, oh, that guy. And all of us would get torqued one way or the other, and maybe we've created that experience for people, but that's never the goal. And
what happens? Life lessons learned. We've always been that person in the room at a younger age.
Done stupid things and made people feel it's okay. The key that I say though is, does it actually bother you as a person, and do you want to change and micro adjust, or I don't give a F, screw the world. You're like, okay. Everyone I know that has that or done that eventually has a pretty high speed crash. Because it's not in my opinion, it's not a sustainable model. if you're not concerned. It's very easy to say, I don't care what anyone thinks. You should, in my opinion. Or people say, I don't give an F. Wow. That's not the people I want to be around. I want to be around the people that give all the F's and more, because then they actually care enough to do a really good job that I don't give a whatever. In some instances, it's okay in my opinion, but a lot of instances, it's pretty selfish.
Yeah, and people can see through it real quick. After a while, they'll see right through it.
And especially if you're not even that, and you're touting that, then you're just being disingenuous, and that's a no-go too.
And it's always funny because every year at Summer Strong, you say we've never had a fight, we've never had an issue, because it's I tell you, people who've never gone. Your first couple of years, it's very intimidating because you're in a room with all these people that we look up to. And then after a while, you realize we're all the same person. Like we're all just here to have a good time. And it's not, oh my gosh, this person's a superstar, where they might be, but it all just like people just fall in and like, hey, this is the spot we need to be in.
Yeah, that I appreciate you saying that. And it's a joke. We've said it so many times. I'm actually I'm impressed. I'm wildly impressed with the community. And people tell me, you told us right off the jump. And so I just keep doing it because I'm all screwed up. It's just real working. But it is beautiful to see a bunch of high-end performers and some super A types and alphas and all that other stuff. But you're right. When everyone's walking around for a while, yeah, there's some people that are famous or more accomplished than others. Okay. But then my question would be, okay, but by what scale and measure?
Yeah.
This person might have 700,000 followers. Okay. But in this other scale or measure, maybe they're below you, or this other person has whatever. You could extrapolate in any direction. And when you just come down to what we're attempting to teach and to experience is everyone has a value, but we can't all use the same scale. It does, if we're going off of Instagram followers or income or employee numbers, all these other things, or championship rings, those are all metrics, but not all those metrics are relevant within everyone's life. And if we're all using those 5 metrics or whatever it is, it's like, okay, you're going to get over your skis really fast. Whereas there might be someone in there with 12 followers, never been on a podcast, and he coaches at some high school that no one's ever heard of, and also has 5 adopted kids and doing all this stuff in his community that no one knows about. But I mean, I would hold that person exceptionally high standard because they're living the life. They're doing the stuff. Whether they're getting accolades for it or not doesn't necessarily create value.
Yeah, and the accolades, I think a lot of people are searching for that, and it's not a bad thing to get them. But and sort of this, you and I was like, you go to some conferences and I'm never going to talk to that person because of just the busyness. But I remember the first time you shook my hand, introduced, we have a conversation, just normal people. And it's like, that's the thing that you go,
we're all normal people.
Right.
That's the funny part. Everyone says like, you're a normal dude. I'm like, yeah, we're all normal dudes.
It.
What are we talking about?
It's a surreal moment. You're like, wait a second, this guy is popular, runs this company on Instagram, does all this. And you're like, hey, we're just hanging out and having a beer together. This is what builds that community. And it's really what makes us all, even if we're coaching the lowest level or we're at the top, sure, we're all the same. We're all, hey, we're having a good time. We're partying, we're squatting, we're lifting, we're a giant team.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone who's been at the top has also been at the bottom before. And I think that's where people have to understand, okay, great. Certain people maybe work themselves to the top of that mountain, but I've seen a lot of people fall off that mountain. And does that make them more or less valuable if they're not? No, not necessarily. It's just, if you get to the top of that mountain, look around, dance for a little bit, and go, hey, this is pretty cool. The thin air up here is pretty neat. And then my opinion, the first thing you do is an AAR, an after action report, and go, okay, what did I do that helped me get here? What did I do poorly that I could have done better? What are some SWOT analysis? What's a weakness or a threat that I have that could take me out of this? How could I be better if I'm enjoying this ride, how can I help this whole thing? And then how can I pull up the next group of folks into this that are valuable and are doing the work? And then if you lose it all, then
start over.
Right, try again. Let's try again. Everyone that's ever been at the top was at the bottom at some point. And I think once people could realize that, and conceptualize. And the fun part is it's kind of like a weird 10-year model thing I was thinking of a few years ago. I was like, everything that I'm just thinking me personally, everything that I'm personally good at, I would say above average at, I was doing at least 10 years ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And probably in some things I was doing at a high level 10 years ago. In some things I was doing at a mediocre level. Some things I was doing at a very low level. But all of those things, if given 10 years, those are things I'm pretty good at. And then I got thinking, I said, that means that if it takes roughly 10 years to get there or to do something semi-extraordinary, then there's a whole bunch of people that I'm talking to that are not there yet. But I'm very talking to the person that in 10 years is going to be the next, name somebody, a Joe Rogan, a Andy Galpin, a Taco Will. All those people were doing the same thing they're doing 10 to 20 years ago. They just hadn't popped yet, and people hadn't seen the value or a lucky break or whatever. And that's what I'll just tell people. If you're truly passionate about something and you're truly wanting to be good at it, just keep doing it until you're really good at it. And eventually, if you're good enough at it, people will start seeing the value of it. But you can't do it only to be valuable to, I want to do this, I'll become popular. That doesn't ever work. If you're doing all the weird algorithm stuff and buying followers and all the weird crap. But truly being undeniable in the space takes a ton of work, 10 to 15, maybe 20 years of doing the same thing and finding the cracks and developing yourself. But that, again, going back to, that's where I get inspired, because I might talk to a young entrepreneur or a young strength coach. And I've been around long enough where I've got to see the process. I've met the Brian Manns in 2003 and 2004 that called me and was asking about Attendo. And I was giving him the velocities measurements that Judd Logan and I were taking from our training. And then Brian bought Attendo from us and then said, hey, I'm going to write this book. And then a couple years later, and he's Dr. Brian Mann, who basically literally wrote the book on velocity-based training. And I'm thinking, gosh, I remember Brian Mann when he was an assistant at Missouri, who was a hungry, passionate, interested strength coach that was just interested in a semi-new technology that was coming on and decided to dive into it. That was 20 years, but that's where I look at it and go, okay, every person you can meet, as long as they're passionate and semi-talented, they could be that next dude in 10 years. And that's what I would remind people. But the other part of that is, if you're not willing to do the hard work for 10 or 15 or 20 years, you're never going to be that dude. It's just not going to happen. And when people, I try this for a year, try this for a year, try this for a year, I'm like, hey, that's fun to do exploration, but you're wasting time. Yeah. You're wasting time on being deep water. And that's when we talk about thin air and deep water. The thin air side of it is an observation. I started learning that as I would visit the top tier of different industries, the same people tended to be at that on those tops of those mountains. I mean, it was sometimes literally the same person. And then I came to a realization. I was like, okay, a lot of this is just people that have the ability to breathe the thin air. And that's what I mean by it's harder the higher you get in many ways, because it's a harder climb and the air gets thinner. It's harder to breathe, and you have to be more strategic and more tactical. But the ones who could break through and do it, they tend to be really good at a lot of things because they have that innate ability. But the group of people tended to be the Venn diagram of it certainly had some of the same folks in it. And then the deep water side of that is, but in order to brave the thin air and to climb that mountain, you have to be so deep water into whatever you believe in, or you really don't get a spot at the table. If I was interested in strength or fitness, or to work out, or I'm on a diet to lose some weight and get a little bit tone, Sorinex probably wouldn't do what it's doing.
Right.
Because just the people I hire we try to get deep water people that all are passionate about it, that aren't looking to go anywhere. We're not, hey, I want to make my money in the next 3 years and dip. The people who we get and develop and look for, I call them basically lifers. I want folks that this is where they want to be. and we want to grow together, and we want to create something amazing. And the what we leave on this industry is the goal, not what our bank account says. And that's where when people hear us say, especially with Sorinex Outdoors, thin air and deep water, that's what that means. But unless you're willing to go deep water and really dive into a topic when it's not cool anymore, when it's not fun anymore, are you still digging and digging and digging? Those are the people that generally can brave the thin air, and then that's the double-sidedness.
Yeah. And you mentioned Sorinex Outdoors. Was that sort of a passion thing for you? Because I know you're big into hunting, or all of a sudden you have exercise, but you have Sorinex Outdoors it's that thin air, deep waters, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
What stemmed that out?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Sorinex Outdoors was basically a passion project. It's more of a special interest group within the strength community. And I was a weightlifter. I mean, I enjoyed lifting weights with my dad as a kid, and then I enjoyed strength training, and then I started throwing the discus, and I enjoyed that. And then when I got to college, I became a hammer thrower, javelin thrower, and that became my life for college, and then for a few Olympic trials after that. So that was the goal. Strength training had always been the ticket, the cover charge in from a physical standpoint. Got out of that after the second Olympic trials. Hey, probably not going to make an Olympic team. I need to move on with my life. Took a year off, got into Highland Games because I wasn't ready to really be done competing and training for something. Had a pretty good run at that, went all over the world doing that stuff, got married, started having kids. And one of my first loves was, as a kid, was the outdoors. And I was already trickling with it. But when you remove these big hobbies, personally, I wasn't competing, I wasn't throwing anymore, but I definitely liked challenging myself. As I started getting more into the Western mountain style hunting and finding mentors there and trying to learn more, and I realized my training had to change. And Sorinex Outdoors was basically just a special interest group of my friends that when we would sit around hunt camp and we would start talking about weightlifting, we'd start talking about biometrics and strength training and all this stuff. And then you find like-minded people. Really, it became something else for me personally to train for, to be excited about, a passion, because I'm 40, I'll be 49 this year. But still, I wake up every day wanting to personally be better at something. I just realized that's how I'm geared, and I don't ever want that to leave. I felt like I had to give myself something, a gold ring to keep striving for. If that means I'm better at shooting a bow far or hiking further or whatever it may be, that sounds like a noble cause and a concept. And okay, let's go do that. And then you realize, you go, gosh, I have this very robust value proposition for the outdoor industry, because the best strength trainers and coaches in the world are all in my phone. I'm friends with all of them. And started realizing that there was a lot of people in the outdoors world that either didn't know how to train or wanted to know how to train. I said, gosh, I could introduce them to these concepts and or people that would help them out. And then conversely, there were so many people in the strength world and the athletic world that spent their life on a football field, baseball field, soccer field, court, whatever it may be. And then they get out of that world and they're what? And you go, you enjoyed training for this thing. Why don't you go try something hard, put a backpack on and learn a different skill set? And hey, I don't care if you bow hunt or rifle hunt, or elk hunt with a rifle is still really hard. But you tie it into, okay, if you're going to eat high quality protein, hey, wouldn't that be a cool thing to potentially look at going and procuring it yourself? And it might take you a 10-day hunt this year, and you might not even see an elk, and you might sleep under the stars and learn a lot about yourself and hike up these mountains and feel something you haven't felt since your competition days, or maybe something that's still foreign that you've never felt since your competition days, but it gives you another fire and something to train for and how to continue to develop yourself and be better. So that was the idea behind Sorinex Outdoors. Is it something we're trying to make a lot of money on? No. It's just people that stuff. Hey, guess what? We also,
I think that's the best part, because I'm a hunter too. So, you got strength training and you got both. Because at some points I would battle with this. Like, am I a trainer, strength coach, or am I more of a hunter? Okay, it's this combined thing.
Because they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
And that's all people's passions. They don't have to be buying them together and then enjoy it. Because something like hunting, you want to talk about delayed gratification. Holy smokes.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I was really into tennis,
Mhm.
we would probably have next
Yeah,
tennis.
yeah.
And people are like, what does that mean? I don't know. If I'm trying to be really good at tennis and I'm training for tennis, and then I tied that in with the strength conditioning aspects of it, and there was a special interest group of people that really love that, great. There's no secret to this whole thing. If I was really into whitewater rafting and then figured out a way to train for that through different aspects, we might have Sorinex whitewater. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be, in my opinion, ultra strategic with all these big ROIs behind.
It's getting people excited for things that and when they're excited, then that builds those drives, and people are, I'm going to wake up and do this every day because it can incorporate my whole lifestyle, my family's lifestyle. And for me as a coach, that's the best part, when you get someone interested and jazzed up about their day, about whatever it is.
Sure.
Win.
Yeah, exactly. And if you got to dangle that fun little thing out, I mean, I don't cardio. Just, do I know I should do it? Yes. I just don't it. However, in July and August, if I know that I have an elk hunt in mid-September, I'm going to be rucking around my neighborhood and going hypoxic and shooting a bow and doing all this other stuff. And if I'm hunting in Arizona in August, it's going to be super hot. I'm going to be doing saunas and then shooting and then lifting and getting heat resistant. That's probably stuff I'm not going to be as apt to do if I don't have a carrot hanging out in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
And just the reality of it. It's okay if I got to reward myself and put something out there, I'll become better and have something to chase. Okay. That's this whole thing. Because in real life, we don't need to lift weights, right? Unfortunately, life is easy enough, specifically in America. If you have a little bit of disposable income, you can outsource every possible job. I mean, basically, besides eating and pooping, you could probably outsource every other thing. You could bring someone could bring you your food. You could pay someone to wash you. You could basically do nothing. Okay, probably not what we need to do. Then we're sprinkling in this stressor of strength and conditioning. Okay, well, let's make sure that it has a bigger impact. And I've got my butt kicked in the Elk Woods and the Elk Mountains multiple times. Big, strong guy, go up there, not ready for it. You may or may not be successful, but still you paid for it. And this goes, okay, cool. I don't want to pay for it as much during, and I want to have a higher chance of being successful because I'm competitive. And once I got my butt kicked a couple times in competition in track and field, that was a very evident piece of the puzzle that I needed to train harder for it. And great. If that's what drives us, then it's a win-win-win.
Yeah. I think everyone has that experience at some point, getting beat down pretty good or losing, or even if it's hunting, you go through some rough stuff and it's okay. I learn. What?
Yeah, you take your bow for a hike for 10 days, basically. And you're like, that was cool. I took a lot of time off work. I hiked 8 million miles. My feet are going to fall off, and I carried this stupid bow 10 miles a day. And I heard an elk once.
That's how it goes. And it's frustrating.
You
get frustrated at times too, but then you wake up and you do it again. It's the same thing. I go sit in a tree stand all day, get super frustrated. I'm going to go do it tomorrow because what if, right?
Yeah, it's always the what if. And then if you're doing a good AAR, you're starting to establish just training, just competition. You start establishing patterns. You're like, hey, I sat on this ridge top, and in the morning, it worked really well. In the evening, I saw nothing. Okay, the thermals are falling in the evening, and the deer are coming up from the bottom, and they're smelling me every time. Why do I see a ton of stuff in the morning, and I don't see anything in the evening? I'm probably going to, about 3 or 4 o'clock that afternoon, I'm going to slip down this hill 400 yards. I'm going to sit in the valley where the thermals. And if you're not taking that stuff into account and changing your training, or what I've realized recently is I accommodate very quickly to weightlifting. My cycles have to be really fast, 2 to 3 weeks. Oh, yeah. And if I go an 8 week, I'm hurt almost every time. I have to micro load, and just even the over stimulation in certain movements, I've found I have a lot of miles on me. I found that doesn't help. So I've gone, okay, every 5 to 6 weeks, I'm going to do a 3-week eccentric block with some remapping of fiber. And I found that I'm getting good results off of it. However, the 3rd week, I'm starting to see a reduction of increase and reduction of stimulus, or need of stimulus, and potential overuse. It's pretty cool. I'm just doing AARs on it because last week my eccentrics felt great. This week, the early part of them felt great, and right now I'm stroked. And I go, could I go another anything that's working you want to keep doing, right? Okay, could I go another week for make it a fourth week? No, let me quit while I'm ahead. Let me shift gears, but I'm not going to go into a large hypertrophy phase or a speed phase or something like that. And then, hey, it's going great in the first 3 weeks. I'm going to do 8 weeks of it. No, my AAR has told me this doesn't work for me. I mean, I'd probably be good if I switched every 2 to 3 weeks on an energy system or a rep scheme. And when I did that, I just know me. When I did that, I was really good and I didn't get hurt. When I don't, and I go off of just, hey, I'm really enjoying the ride, I'm going to stay on the ride, I just know me. I get tweaked.
Yeah.
Again, just that's where I would say, whether it's hunting, whether it's training, whatever, you got to constantly assess, and not just an after action assessment of 8 weeks, but every day. Oh, wow, I've realized my grip training is starting to really accelerate. When I started doing it, I wanted to do it every day because I was having success, but I've realized I need to go 7 to 10 days in between grip work. And when I do, my increases are astronomical, right? And it's fun because at 49 years old, you're getting PRs every 10 days. But part of me is, let me throw an extra day in there. It's like, no, this is working great. And eventually it'll stop working and I'll have to figure out something else. I don't know. I think the key is always caring enough to be your own lab rat and to take good notes and then to go back and say what worked, what didn't work. And then to add the whole time, I'm calling experts in the field. I'm calling the Brian Manns. I'm calling the Eric Serranos, I'm calling the Derek Woodskis, and we're talking through the back channel stuff and sharing notes and actually caring. And that being said, not trying to put myself on a pedestal, I don't know how many other owners of a strength company are doing that. Like, that's where I think one of our advantages are, is that myself, but also my staff, we're all always doing that. I'm just tooting my own horn of my staff. We're texting each other at 10 o'clock at night, back and forth. Hey, I just did this in the gym. Hey, I did this. Hey, cool. I'm going to work on this tomorrow. All right, cool. You want to hit this tomorrow? We're still all doing that. All of us are in our 30s or 40s or even older. And I would argue that's probably not overly common within the industry.
I'd probably agree with it. But that's what makes it fun, because one of your colleagues probably comes up with an idea. And you're like, man, this is going to be something. Let's run it. And you go, dang. That's how ideas just go.
Yeah, and we all give each other some latitude. If someone does something cool that inspires the rest of us, we'll all hit it for 2 or 3 weeks. We'll meet out there and try some different stuff, and then someone else will do a little tweak and we'll run that for a little bit. And in my opinion, that keeps you close to the epicenter of why we're doing this. When it becomes only a business or only on profits and loss, only on put through, I think you lose some of the culture and some of the spice of why. And eventually you lose it, right? About a musical artist, when they're trying to make really, really good music and they're feeling it, it's awesome, right? When they're trying to make a sound that they knew worked one time because they want to sell more records, it sucks.
Yeah.
And everyone can feel it.
Very, very noticeable. It's like, okay, what happened? What changed?
They got rich and everything changed and they want to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, some people have that mindset. It's just, to me, it's unfortunate. That's what people care about. But then you can see quality of product or quality of what they put out changes because they're going on that algorithm. They're trying to make this thing happen quick. Yeah. And it's people see through it that are the true, hey, I'm going to hard work, grind it out, or followers, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone wants to be successful, and being successful isn't a bad thing.
No.
It's more of an intent, right? Is the intent to be successful, or is the intent to do great work? And if the great work leads to success, then okay.
Because everyone measures success a little bit different, right? It might not mean a bunch of money. It might be like, hey, I'm going to have a family, and I'm going to have them good culture, and I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to help people every day. It's not about, for everyone, about the money. But of course, you do want to be successful and be able to have a roof, have food, all that stuff.
Of course. Yep.
So what, you got some hunts coming up. What else you got on the horizon coming up?
I do have a couple that are starting to materialize. I'm doing a mule deer hunt in Colorado, and that's going to be with my buddy Derek Wolf up there, a former Denver Bronco, and a couple other fellas from the WWE world and stuff like that. We're all going to be on a ranch up there and go try to archery hunt for mule deer, try to figure that out, which is always an extremely frustrating endeavor. I think I've been on I don't know, 5 or 6 mule deer hunts, and I've gotten one. It's just it's especially with archery tackle. It's those things are switched
Is it
on.
are you walking stock or is it?
It'll be both. We have some water holes that we're going to maybe try to set up on. I've never been there. It's a buddy's place, and you kind of I'm a win and roam guy. If you think the best way to do this is to build a blind and just rot in there and weigh them out, if that's the best way, great. If it's find them in some big grass fields with their antler tines sticking up and try to spot and stalk them. All right, let's try that. Whatever it is, I'm not a bow hunter. I'm not a rifle hunter. I'm a hunter. I enjoy being in the outdoors. I enjoy the challenge, and whatever it is. There's some people that are competitive. It's whether they're in the NFL, they're always, but you take them bowling and they're going to be competitive too. That's where I'm at. If it's the outdoors and it's an adventure, I'm in for it. And I have another friend of mine I'm hunting with. He and another strength coach in New York this year for whitetail, upstate New York. And then I'll have my spot in Missouri. I have a farm up there. I'll hit that for the rut. And I'm in South Carolina on my farm. And that's where I'll really take the kids a lot and stuff like that. That's really an after work hunt. It's 20 minutes from my house. Get off work at 5, be in the stand by 6. It gets dark at 8. Or you hit it for an hour in the morning, then cruise into work. Yeah. That's how my farm works. How about
quite the variety? Mainly whitetail up here. Yeah. So like I said,
what's up there?
Whitetail. Before we hit sort of recording, you asked if there's a lot of hunters up here, and our numbers are dwindling, but the deer population is going crazy. They're giving out tags. I could take five deers. They want to get rid of them, but there's not a lot of hunters. But
man, well, that's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean,
or gun or what?
I started shotguns. The first probably 4 years of my hunting career, nothing. I was like, nothing. Then I switched to bow, and for some reason, I just fell in love with bow a little bit. It's just something about it. It's a little more primitive.
As a strength athlete, you probably enjoy it because there is a physical and an intimate component to it. I found a lot of strength guys with bows.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And I usually, for me, I'm like, I'll sit in a stand. I'll have set up a couple different stands. I'll sit there all day and go out there. And I tell people it's a grind sometimes to sit out there all day, but it's nature. You become with one, but when that moment happens, it's dopamine rush, crazy.
Oh, you're exactly right. And especially in Missouri during the rut, I'll get there and I'll be in the woods an hour before and an hour after light, and I won't leave. It's if I find a spot that's a good rut funnel, I would call it rot in the tree. You'll get there and you'll lock in, and I have a liter of coffee. I have a liter of water. I have pea bags. I got the whole deal. Like I have sandwiches, and you're just locked up 20 something feet up in a tree for 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is. And it's 15 degrees and 10-mile-an-hour wind, and you're freezing your butt off. And that's where good gear helps. But you're hanging out, and all of a sudden, deer of a lifetime could come through. I mean, the last one I shot up there with a bow was 7 yards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just one at 31 out of the same stand the year before. And you're hanging out, and you're sitting that rut funnel that compresses all that movement into hopefully a 10 or 20 yard space. And you're just sitting at that pinch point, and you can't make the deer do anything. Nope. You just have to play the odds and be at the right place, and then just stay your head on a swivel and go, okay, I'm going to be here for the next 6 days, 10 to 12 hours a day, banking on the delayed gratification of it's going to be 10 seconds of absolute chaos if it goes down. And I'll do that. I'll gladly do that. And I'll train all year for this, and I'll put the time in, and I'll do that because it's not love sport, right? You do months and months and months of training to get that opportunity to hit the game winning home run, right? Yeah. Why we
and it's similar to sport where you're out there and there's times where you want to, I could go home, I could be sitting by the fire, I could be warm, but you're like, what if I miss this? And do I want to give into that cold, or do I want to struggle a little bit? Because I also look at it as like, this is what our ancestors did. My great grandparents did to survive. It's like, no, I'm going to stick it out. I got this.
Yeah, it's exactly. And for me, I take that week off. I'm emailing and texting in the tree, which is actually nice that I could do that at times and stay in touch with work. But there's a part of me that would get better if I couldn't, because then you really get dialed. And I used to go in, and then I'd hunt for a few hours, and then I'd go back to camp and take a nap and do all the other stuff. But I started realizing that if I'm only there for a short period of time, what if the buck of a lifetime walks through at noon? Yep. And that was the one time he was going to walk through in daylight that entire year. And I picked the right time of year to be there. And I just decided to be soft and go back to the camp and eat chili and lay on the couch for an hour. And you had to walk out a half mile or a mile anyway and drive back to camp and then do all that stuff just to drive back in and do it all again. I'm just be tougher and just prepare better, be tougher, stay on your game, stay in the game. And I found a lot more success for multiple reasons. A, you're there in the woods more. You're there when they're moving more. But then also I've realized tactically I disturb less of the woods going in total darkness and leaving it total darkness versus walking a mile through the woods in daybreak and blowing every deer out of there. Or during walking out at 10 o'clock, blowing every deer out of there. It finally calms down. I walk back in at 2 o'clock, blow everything up again, and then hopefully get in a tree. And hopefully the dumb one that was a half mile away stumbles through. It's that doesn't tactically make sense. And then the only difference is preparation of me being tough enough to sit in a tree for 12 hours. Okay, we made our choice.
Yeah, that's for me, the mindset of like, if I miss it, I'm not going to be happy with myself. It's neurotic. I have to stay. What if? Because you're out there, you never know. Some articles will say, oh, they're not going to come at this time during this phase, but you see everything. You see early. I've seen every single time a day, and it's just like, I'm not going to miss this opportunity.
Right. I mean, that's especially for me because that let's say that week, or if I go to Montana or wherever, that's what I'm there to do. It's when you walk into a gym, I'm here to lift. What am I going to go hang out and screw around on my phone? No, I'm already here. Let me go do the work. Yep. It's just anything else. Just stay focused.
And it's practicing, right? Just like strength training, we get to go out and we get to practice with our bow. This time of year, I'll start really, really dialing in shooting. And that's where it gets fun.
Yeah. Are you going to do shoot to eat this year?
Oh, yeah. I have actually, in the new place, I got a backyard set up. I'll set up a range and stuff. So I can actually do that. That's just one thing I was going to bring up, the shoot to eat. Walk us through what you got with it and when it starts.
Yeah. Shoot to eat is something I did just on my own 4 or 5 years ago. And I started thinking again, AAR of hunting and realizing that I would shoot with a lot of guys, or we would start shooting and we might go to some further targets, 60 yards, 70 yards, whatever it may be. But guys would pull out their bow and they'd shoot a couple at 20. I'd go, what'd you do? I just warming up. And I was like, yeah, and I would do it too. And then I would go to Missouri and I would sit for 7 days. But when you're sitting dark to dark, you're not going back to camp in the middle of the time and shooting and practicing during lunch, which a lot of guys will do. So I started realizing I'm hunting for 6 or 7 days, never practicing. Everything is a cold bore shot, and not only cold, you might actually be cold. You're stiff, you're whatever. And I'm going, okay, I'm trying to be good enough to potentially make a shot of a lifetime on an animal of a lifetime, 0 warm up. Maybe I have even pulled my bow back or shot an arrow in 4 days. And I started thinking, how can I accommodate and inject that mindset and the stress inoculation of being able to cold bore shot any day of the week? If I walked up to a basketball player and handed him a basketball on the streets, and I'm like, hey, this is the distance of a free throw, make it right. And they're like, yeah, but I'm on the way to dinner with my wife. I'm like, I don't care. $1,000, can you make it right? And that was the mindset I started getting, was I need to build the skill set, but also the urgency and the stress inoculation to not have an emotional response when all of a sudden you're put on the spot with no preparation. I started getting up in the morning and I picked the first day, I picked a distance that was relatively difficult to hit what I say a kill shot. It's a 10-inch circle, which is a vital zone on an animal. I had a foam target out there with a circle. I walked out. I just woke up, put on my shorts, walked outside, took a drink of water. Ugh, okay, I'm half awake. Pick up my bow, set it at 50, send it, and if it was a kill shot, then I would allow myself, but also reward myself with breakfast and coffee. And it's not a huge price to pay, but it sucks if you don't get it. If you wake up and if you're a breakfast guy and you're like, crap, I didn't get to eat breakfast this morning. I'm just kind of raw dogging without coffee. This sucks. I wanted to put in physical stressor, but also in a little bit of an emotional stressor of you better focus because you got this one shot. I don't care how much you warm up. I don't care when you're hunting, generally that one shot is all you're going to get that year. That's that one bow shot. And I hear so many guys, I hit him a little far back or hit him a little. And I'm thinking, man, you have hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars into this situation. And you didn't practice to be good the first time. You practice to be good. Oh, I'm shooting 20 shots in. Okay, let's push it on out or do some other weird shot. The idea was, how do we get there as fast as possible and build the competition mindset of then the confidence of, if you hand me my bow, I don't care if you wake me up at 2 a.m. and walk me outside, I will make that shot any day of the week. And this is how this is. I'm that guy that makes that shot. And then a lot of it's just back from my sporting days. Is like, you have to believe you're that guy, right? The Tom Brady, where it doesn't matter how much time is on the clock. If there's any time on the clock, he knows he's getting to the end zone with somebody. And the first day, I think I shot 50 yards. I was like, okay, cool, I'll make it. And that was the next day I got up and I went, if I made 50 yesterday, I have to make 51 today. So it has to be an increased difficulty. Then I started saying, I want to increase the stress portion of it as well. I want to add social stress. Then I would video it and I'd put it on social media because I wanted some accountability. And I wanted to for my mind to know, if I miss this, I'm still posting my failure. Yeah. And I'm showing everyone that I'm going to fail. The only thing I could do, if I don't want that experience to be negative, the only thing I could do is don't fail. That focuses my attention to go, okay, dude, if you don't want the negative impact of having to show a failure, if you don't want to miss a meal, if you don't want all the other frustrations, all you have to do is just hold your focus a little bit longer, stay dialed in. Don't worry if it's raining. Don't worry if you're tired. Don't worry if it's all this other crap. Block it out. Focus on the thing that you have to focus on, right, to compete and to win. Knowing that if you don't, you're going to come back and do it tomorrow again. And you probably, if you were smart, you'd do your homework tonight. And you would, if you miss that 50-yard shot, tonight's homework, I'm going to shoot 50 until I can do it upside down, backwards, and asleep. And then, but tomorrow I still got to take the test. I got to hit that 50. And then if I hit it, great. I'll go have breakfast, lunch, move on my day, come back tomorrow morning, it's 51 because life always changes. And so eventually, maybe 50 was easy, but 58 is going to start getting harder. 60 is going to start getting even harder. I want success to be rewarded with additional challenge. And that was kind of the mindset of it. And a couple of my friends started wanting to do it. And a few years ago, we were like, all right, let's do the shoot to eat challenge where we all do it on social media and have a fun time with it. And people say, what do I have to start at? My thing is, start at a distance that is hard for you, but not impossible. If you're a beginner, start at 20 yards. I don't care. It's not about me. It's not about what I'm good at or not. It's what would you have to focus to hit, and then do that, get a win for the first day, and then just keep moving it a yard at a time. And we do it for a 2-week period of time. I think it's like 15 days. I think we start August 1st and get done August 15th or something along those lines. You'll see it on Sorinex Outdoors. We'll post it. But it's really, really fun. And for me, it's an opportunity to remember to compete every day and compete in a disadvantaged position every day. And I think more people just need to do that in general in life. It's that's a mindset behind it. Yeah, check out Shoot to Eat. We sell a t-shirt that has the Shoot to Eat sticker that you can stick on any foam target. And we have a half-size sticker. Let's say that maybe you're good at 60 yards would be your normal shot, but your yard only goes to 30. We have a half-size target that you would shoot at 30 that would accommodate to that double size. That's the thing of it. And a lot of people get involved, and it's cool to see some big names playing with it and doing it. But it goes it is not even about archery. It goes back to human performance and competition. Mm-hmm. And what I would do when I was throwing the hammer was I tried to get to a point where I could take 2 warm-ups, because you're always going to get 2 warm-ups in every competition. Most competitions you get most, but big comps you might only get 2. And it was, can I throw 95% of my PR on throw 1 after 2 warm-ups at any time of the day? It's hard as crap. Yep. But the training, I would try to set up the training where that would occur. Then if I go to an Olympic trials or go to a conference meet, whatever it was, you always have that in your back pocket. You're like, I am a competitor. I am here to compete. I've done this in training. I know this is a thing. I put myself in this situation every day this year. All this is just I've done it for the last 50 days. All this is day 51. And I had a coach tell me one time, he said, remember when he was talking about the Olympics and world records and conference records, all this stuff. And it's very easy in any sport to idolize the high performers, right? Let's say you could extrapolate this in anything. The Super Bowl. What the Super Bowl is? It's a football game. It's the same football game you play since you're a kid. It's the same game. It's the same game they played in college, roughly the same rules, same size, everything. The Super Bowl is a football game. The Olympics is a track meet. Mm-hmm. The ring is the same. The shot put's the same. The hammer's the same. The rules are the same. And the world record is some guy's PR. And it's not to down the greatness, but it's also to humanize it and say, there's some guy that has a PR that just happens. It's the world record. It doesn't make him magic. It doesn't make him Zeus. It doesn't make him anything. And that's where I try to normalize some of those pieces of the puzzles. You don't freak out. So, hey, a deer is walking through the woods at 38 yards. Make that shot. How often do you shoot 38 yards? All the time. When's the last time you missed a 38-yard shot on foam? I can't even think about it. 10 years, maybe. Yeah. Then you go, yeah, I can make this shot. You still do your shot process and everything like that, but don't go, you freak out and people choke their asses off in competition. And you go, gosh, there's nothing that was different than what you do all the time. What happened? And this is what happened. Guys and gals, they choke and they start freaking out because all of a sudden the stakes are high. The stakes are only high if you make them high.
Right. I'll definitely have to get on the shoot to eat thing. That I get some space to shoot. I'll be getting that patch and the shirt, and let's go.
No, man, I just really want to thank the strength community for allowing us to do this. I mean, Pops's goal was always to be relevant within the strength world and the physical culture world that he's dearly loved since he was a child. And it's the same with me. My first time I deadlifted double body weight, I was like 8 or 9 years old. And that was because Pops made it mean something. He made it, hey, this is a goal. This is something you should strive for. It's just been bred into me for so many years that this is something, an endeavor worth going after. And we could go after it all we want, but the strength coaches out there and our clients, our customers, they're the ones that allow us to make a living by doing it. Otherwise, we would just be some dudes lifting in the gym, still having a great time, but we would be selling insurance or doing something else to make ends meet, which is totally fine. But I just want to thank them for allowing us to have this life and this influence, if you want to call it that. And we just want to listen to them more. How can we be more helpful? What can we do to help move the industry forward? And that's where I'm at. And that's where my team's at, right? I mean, we work for the industry. We do our thing and we're excited, but we're stewards of how do we help you guys. It's y'all's story, and hopefully we can help out.
Yeah, and you guys are doing some real cool stuff. I mean, you got the X Factor, but you guys rebuilt old machines. The stuff that Nautilus machines, you're seeing, oh man, that thing is cool. And it's old school.
I appreciate that. And I think we did a pretty good job of taking the rack world and innovating the stuff that, I mean, you see what we did with the racks in the last 15 years. I mean, that's copied by everybody, and that's the new language of how racks work. And that's great. We're glad we were able to help out the industry. But in the meantime, we were always looking at, there was a couple pieces here and there, even our own pieces that they were really good, but they're maybe a little ahead of their time, or maybe people forgot about them, or they released a cool piece, but it maybe had a little aspect of it that we didn't really love. Maybe the manufacturing capability wasn't there for it yet, or an application of it wasn't derived yet, or maybe just the world wasn't ready for it. We're fans of the industry as well. There's certain pieces of equipment that other people have made there, and I think it was cool. It was just cool. I liked it. It was just neat. Maybe it didn't fit training, didn't fit whatever. Maybe we bought it, maybe we didn't, whatever. But part of what we've looked at, we call it Classics Remastered, and just said, hey, let's think of the things that we've really liked over the 45 years we've been in the industry. Maybe some prototypes we did, some things that other people did that were really cool. Maybe those companies aren't even in business anymore. And you just go, gosh, that thing got lost and no one gets to enjoy it. And we said, okay, let's take that idea and let's obviously be sensitive to what things were patented or had IP. And okay, let's not step on those toes. But let's look at how can these have been made better? What would be our version of that? Covering a song. You go, that was a really great song. I always loved it, but I really liked it if it was done in bluegrass at three-quarter time, and you had a thing here, and it's like, okay, let's make that one ours and see how we could put that. And maybe because of where the industry is or some of our people, maybe it could have a new life in a different way. And it's been fun. It's a fun project to work on, and it just naturally happened. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do as a company. It was, oh, that's pretty cool. Here's a chest-supported row piece. I had a lot of it, but it would be cooler if the handles did this, and the bands did this, and the range limiters did that, and then this was a better piece, and the logo and the capability and a play. That's how we would do it. Okay, then do it. And that's where it is. And the X Factor was one of those pieces that started a little bit closer to a different thing, but the more we kept playing with it, I think the current X Factor is in this 9th iteration.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we do 7, 8, 9, 10 iterations sometimes before it even hits the public. And so it's been in our gym for 2 years. And we play with it, go, I don't know how this works. This is hard to load. Let's tweak it here. Let's play with that. And then you stumble on some truly innovative portion of that and go, oh my gosh, we just changed the game. But you don't change the game in a white suit business meeting or with a bunch of engineers. You change it by using the piece for 2 years in the gym and writing down constantly the things you dislike about. And then one day you just get an epiphany. You go, oh, if it had 4 pivot points, you wouldn't have to unload and load the units to switch it back and forth. And then you'd be able to do this, you'd be able to do this. And you make one, you spend the money and you design it and you make it, and you put it on the laser, you put it on the welders, you do all the other stuff. And it's cost you thousands of dollars just to see if it works. And sometimes you get it, and 10 minutes into, you're like, oh, this sucks. This thing sucks. Yeah, we didn't see this oh crap, that's a danger spot. Oh, okay, then let's tear this off. Let's move something else. Let's go back and forth. That's what I'm probably doing the most in my company. That's my wheelhouse. Me and the design team, we do that constantly. And some of my sales guys are really dialed in, and we take a lot of information from them. But that's what we've done with the X Factor and some other things. And it ends up, the X Factor becomes more than we ever really thought it was, because it takes you down a different path.
Yeah.
There's a next phase X Factor they're already working on. And actually 2 or 3 different changes we've already made to it since then that we're going to offer as options.
And it's cool because you said like 2 years on the floor. Some places they'll put out products, especially for the gym, and people start using it. It's like, this is inefficient because it takes too long to load this plate. Or there's so many, I've seen that in even gym setups where it's like, this is going this, but I appreciate people putting something out because it was their design, but they never put it in use. It's cool that you get to, you literally get to walk out and have a office and play with and be like, hey, I'm going to check this, test this out. I don't know this doesn't really work if I'm going here to here.
I was using weight limiter or weight releasers this week, and I've used them before. Didn't really use them a whole lot over the years. But because I'm doing an eccentric remapping phase, right? I was doing 8-second loaded squats. I would say probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the weight was on the releasers. And it's interesting because when it's 40 pounds or 50 pounds on the weight releasers, it was easy to handle. But when you get 100 or more pounds on it, you grabbing around looking, it's a harder thing to handle. Within the first day, I redesigned the product that we've had for years, because you're like, oh, this would be way better if it had this and this and this. And then one way is cheapest. You're like, okay, we did what the industry standard was for years, but honestly, I didn't mess with them a lot. There's stuff people asked for. We made them. Hey, great. They liked them. But you play with it for a day or two and they go, what could make this a much better customer experience? And if it had this, I would love this. That meeting's already been had. We've already changed that design. And that's where I think, again, we've had some success because myself and my staff, we're doing that constantly. We're not just saying, hey, we imported this from China, we're going to slap our name on it. This is a copied thing that everyone in the industry has. We all have one. We're going to, and then there's a lot of folks in the industry that's the route they do. I mean, we have people reach out to us all the time overseas saying they'll build our stuff for a considerable amount less. All we got to do is pay landed cost. We'll either get it painted black, blah, 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 whatever, or we could paint ourselves, and all of a sudden we have custom equipment. It's like, no, that's not how we do this. Like, we're made in America with American workers, American steel, 50 yards from my shop, from my office desk. And it's a more expensive, time-consuming method to do it. But I believe in the long term, we're much more dynamic because myself and my staff could walk out in the gym and start messing with something right away. And literally then it's just, how long does it take to get it drawn up, put on the laser to cut out, weld together. If I got to slip one of the welders a couple extra bucks to work a little extra long that day to weld something together so I could play with it tomorrow,
done.
We make that happen. It's a different way to do it, but I have a lot of fun.
It's just, what makes your company tried and true to what Pop started.
Yeah, and that's how he did it. I learned it from him. There's so many days that we would be in the middle of doing something, and all of a sudden we're in the shop for the next 3 hours, cutting apart things and welding things ourselves and on the drill press. And I go, man, I thought we were about to go to lunch in a minute. But it's just how it is. And I think the faster that's bred out of the company, the faster we end up every other company.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Matt Gluckman and Eric Menchie here from Think Fitness Life. Our entire careers have been dedicated to fitness, particularly how the mind helps the body. We've been around gyms and nutrition strategies for 25 plus years collectively, and nothing harms or helps better than your own mind, untrained or trained. Pushing beyond your limits, overcoming whatever's thrown your way, and making the decision to show up day in and day out as a lifestyle takes more soul than sand. And what I mean by that is when you can get your mindset and heart leading you consistently in the direction of your goals and dreams, well, it's just a matter of time before you have the performance, physique, or quality of life you're yearning for. See, your thoughts will stem from your beliefs, which will then lead you to action, which develop into your behavior and ultimately lead you to results. It's really that simple. Our process takes time and it takes open communication. It's amazing what pops up along the fitness journey to betterment, and we can be there every step of the way. To learn more or apply for coaching, visit www.thinkfitnesslife.com. Start recreating your life today.